This is our Frappy Hour. We are doing this new. It is in addition to our daily blog. And so we're interviewing newsworthy folks who are involved in the government's overreaction to the COVID-19 pandemic. And this morning, we're very pleased to have Jillian Carnevale with us. Jillian is, and her husband Mike, were the former owners of Fitness 1440 Gym in Plantation, Florida. And they're very interesting folks with a great story. So Jillian, you're here this morning to tell us about your method that you've developed for matching your mask coloring with your shoes to really put the outfit together. Is that right?
That's pretty far from what we're doing down here in South Florida, Jeff.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was my 10 o'clock interview. I'm sorry. My bad. That was my bad. So you guys have been making the rounds of the major news networks lately with Governor DeSantis. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, and you got to meet the governor of the most open state in the U.S. in person. Is that right?
We have yet to meet him in person. We've met him over a Skype call.
Oh, okay. So you got to do this with him.
Exactly. Yes.
That's great. And my understanding is that he's going to pardon Mike from some criminal charges or something.
Yes. So Governor DeSantis is going to be pardoning Mike and myself, both from our criminal charges as it relates to COVID restrictions.
Okay. And you guys are repeat offenders, isn't that right?
Some people would say that, yes. So basically what had happened is last summer, last July, Mike filed against Broward County. The very next day they were at our business to harass us. They were trying to shut us down, and they ended up arresting Mike that day. So that was less than 24 hours after he filed the lawsuit against the county.
Totally coincidental though, right? Nothing had anything to do with each other.
I'm sure it was just a huge coincidence. But that's not where it stopped. Like you said, there were multiple offenses. About 10 days later, they came back again. They were continuing to harass us, looking to shut us down, and then they arrested Mike that day as well. Now, the third time he was arrested, I was also arrested. The day after that second arrest, we brought our equipment outside into the parking lot to have a peaceful protest of masks while working out.
Yeah.
And at that time, the police came back to our facility and arrested both of us outside in the parking lot.
So I guess at that point, you had decided it wasn't fair that Mike was having all the fun and you decided you wanted to get some too, right?
Well, I wouldn't consider it fun, being arrested. It's a process. It's time consuming, and the conditions once you get into the Broward County jail, they're not good whatsoever. So I wouldn't say that it's fun. Mm-hmm. However, this time there weren't really many options. My business was closed, and I was just protesting outside for, having a peaceful protest with members and non-members alike.
I take that you guys don't have like a frequent flyer card at the Broward County Correctional Facility. Is that right? Is this your first time in the facility?
This was our first time. That's correct.
Yeah. And so out of 5 stars, you would give it what?
Oh,
never mind. What did they charge you guys with?
So it was an emergency order violation. The official charge was failure to comply with like emergency preparedness management. Yeah.
Yeah, that's clear. And you guys, I understand you were assigned a judge. Is that right?
That is correct. So originally my case was with one judge, and then Mike had, a few cases scattered throughout the system with different judges. They since have put us all in with Judge Robert Diaz.
And has Judge Diaz been any help, or has he signaled anything to you about how he feels about all this?
Well, he's definitely made his opinion very clear. To say that he's been helpful, I would not go that far. Uh,
What is your understanding of Judge Diaz's opinion?
so Judge Diaz is a political activist, and he's not for this cause by any means. Back in February, we had a hearing with him where he offered my husband a plea deal of 10 days in jail.
Oh my gosh.
And he said that he was going to decline the state of Florida's plea deal for us, and that we should be in jail. So,
what was the state of Florida offering?
they were offering 60 days of community service for each of us.
And Judge Diaz refused that and said he was going to recommend 10 days in jail?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Well, I guess you knew where you were then, didn't you?
Yeah, for sure.
So to go back, let's talk about that first time that Mike got arrested. I take it that he didn't wake up in the morning thinking, I think today I'd like to try the whole getting arrested thing.
Absolutely not. We woke up in the morning like any other day, ready to conquer the day, to work, to run our business, and to be productive.
Right. You had just filed the lawsuit the day before.
That's correct. Yes.
And so you thought probably nothing was going to happen for a while.
Yeah, we weren't expecting them to be at our facility in the morning to harass us and to shut us down. That's for sure.
So you came into work. You work at the gym with Mike?
Yes.
And so you guys came into work and you opened up and some customers started coming in. Is that right? And then what happened?
So basically what had happened was, I'd say probably around like 9 or 10 in the morning, the first round of police officers showed up, and they were, they had come in prior to educate us and to talk to us and stuff of that sort. But that day it was very different. They came in with direct orders to shut down the business. So the first round came in. Mike told them, respectfully, we closed our business down for 3 months and that we would not be closing our business. At that point, they had to call in to the captain, who then came down. He went back and forth with Michael for hours. It was probably about a 7-hour day for the captain before he decided that he was just going to bring him down.
Were these, was it the county sheriff's office or is it the municipal police?
It was the municipal police.
What city? Plantation?
Yes, Plantation.
Okay. And so about what time did they show up and you realized that somebody was getting arrested?
So the funny thing is, they showed up in the morning. They ended up leaving around midday, around lunchtime. Maybe they got hungry. I'm not really sure, but they left and we thought, okay, this is great. Like they're not going to close us down today. And then they came back about an hour later, probably around 1:30. And that's when they were like, no, we're really going to be shutting you down. And Mike was arrested probably around 3:34 p.m. that day.
Okay. And was there something that precipitated the arrest, or did the police just say, okay, now we're arresting you?
They said that he had to close down the business and he refused to lock the doors. He refused to shut down the business. And at that point they were like, well, if you're not going to close the business, then we're going to have to arrest you.
I see. And so what was that like, watching that happening?
I was honestly in shock that they would go that far, for a business owner who, he wasn't violent. He wasn't causing a scene or anything of that sort. Honestly, like I really felt like somebody had to do it, and he was just kind of the sacrificial lamb at that point. I knew in my heart of hearts was going to be okay. So I wasn't too upset at the situation, but it was definitely stressful and emotional for me.
Yeah. So like, I wonder what you felt like after they had put him in the car and driven away, and then you were there by yourself, right? And you're probably trying to figure out, okay, what do I do next? And that kind of thing. What was that like?
Yeah. So at that point, I had to shut the business down. We had already discussed that he didn't want me getting arrested. So I did what I had to do just to stay out of jail myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't necessarily agree with what I was doing. So that was very difficult for me. It was in a state of, my actions didn't correlate with my beliefs, but I shut down the business and I did what the police officers asked me to do. I cleared out the members and I just tried to comply to make it.
So basically, after they took Mike and put him in the car, they came back and told you, okay, it's your turn. Are you shutting it down or not? And so you were like, I guess I better shut it down or else nobody's going to be here to take care of things.
Right. That's correct.
Yeah. And so so that all makes sense. And then I guess, did you go bail Mike out, or did they release him on his own recognizance, or what happened?
Yes, I did bail him out.
Okay, so they kept him and set bail. How much bail did they set?
The bail was set at $25.
Okay, so just enough that you had to come down there and
Yeah.
get him out. All right. Now, what I'm really curious about is, so you guys went through this, and then it happened again, and you're like, I guess you and Mike decided, I'm going to jail again. Is that basically how it happened?
Yeah. So after the first arrest, we had decided we're not going to be backing down. We didn't go this far just to turn around and go backwards. So when they came back, it was about 10 days after the first arrest. And again, they said somebody called in Broward County. We had the 311 line where people could call in and file complaints about businesses or their neighbor or people who are, not following the mandates. So they just,
line.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they just, they came in, they told us, hey, somebody called in on you. You have 2 people here that don't have face coverings on. And so we're going to have to shut you down again.
Okay. And then you and Mike talked about it, and you're like, let's go to jail.
Well, in short, yes. In short, Mike was like, you know what? I'm not shutting down. This is insane. It shouldn't be up to business owners to prescribe medical devices for people to wear while they're working out. So,
yeah,
very, very strong about his opinion. He's the type of guy that once he sets his mind, he's all in. So he made it his decision that this is what he was going to do. So moving forward, he was all in on it.
So he went to jail a second time. Did you go bail him out a second time?
I did.
Another $25?
That's correct.
Okay. And then it happened a third time.
That's correct.
All right. And so, what was the amount of time in between these arrests? How close together were they?
So the first to the second was about 10 days. And then the second and the third was back to back. So the second arrest was on August 6th, the third arrest, August 7th.
Oh, the next day?
The very next day, yes.
Okay. Did you expect them to come back that quickly?
So I expected them to show up, but because our business was locked and closed and we were outside having a protest, I didn't expect for them to then arrest us in the parking lot.
Yeah. And so did you have a choice that time? Like, did you say, I'm not shutting the club and I want to get arrested too? Or did they just arrest both of you?
So they approached both of us and they said, hey, like, you guys have an order where you cannot be open. And we just tried to, we defended our position, stating that our business was locked and closed and that we were outside having a peaceful protest. We weren't charging people to be there. So this wasn't business. This was people gathering, members, non-members alike throughout the community.
Let me make sure I understand the setup here. So the second time you guys got ordered to close permanently, or at least
Not permanently. It was for 4 days.
for 4 days. Okay. And so instead of you closed the shop, but you brought some exercise equipment outside in the parking lot to protest. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
And they didn't like that too much.
No, definitely not.
Okay. Are you like on a first name basis with the officers at this point?
No.
Just different
No,
ones? Okay. So
I know, but no, I don't know their first names.
sure. But so you guys are out in the parking lot, you got your gym equipment out there, you got some supporters, right, with you, and you're having your protest, and then here come the police again, and they say, you're supposed to be closed, you're obviously open, and we're arresting you. Is that how it happened?
Yes. Yeah, for the most part.
Okay. And so at this point, you're like good with it? You're like, okay, I'm in?
At this point, I've had enough. Like, I've tried
your husband 2 times already, and you've watched him go away 2 times, and so now this time you're going too.
This time I felt like they completely overstepped whatever mandate that they're trying to enforce. So at this point, I honestly just could not agree with why they were arresting us. So, I said, my business is closed. I can't close my closed business. It's already closed. And I don't think that, like, the fact that we were, telling them that our business was closed and that we weren't charging people to be here. I don't think they liked the fact that people were just showing up, on their own accord. So they didn't really give us many options other than to arrest us and have our members or somebody put the equipment away.
And all right. And so how did you feel about the process of getting arrested as a first timer?
So it is, it's drawn out and very time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
The conditions are horrible. So I don't know how it works in other parts of the state, but down here, you're arrested by, your city police officers. They bring you to their station for 2 hours or so, do some baseline paperwork, and then they bring you to the county jail. When you get to the county jail, it's another 8 to 12 hours before you're fully processed and released.
And did they do the whole fingerprints thing and take your picture and all that?
They do the mugshot, the fingerprints. They fully book you. They put you in a holding cell, and then at some point, I think it was around dinner time, they brought us upstairs, where thankfully we only spent a couple hours before they released us.
So I bet you never expected your social media debut to be on mugshots.com, did you?
No, I did not.
So, all right, you guys have been arrested 3 times. You're under orders from the court, and now you've got all these criminal charges pending against you. You've got a judge that obviously has it in for you, right? And you're probably like worried about what's going to happen, but you're also feeling really strong about, your position and everything, and not giving into these bullies and all that stuff. But it can't have been super comfortable.
It was very, very stressful. The whole process, the arrest, even after being released, there was a period of time where we then had to become the facial covering police within our business. That was very stressful for me. And then moving forward, if we fast forward about 2 months after that, Broward County then seized our business. They got one of the corrupt judges in Broward County to sign off on a writ of possession that our landlord asked for because we brought our equipment outside into the parking lot and we violated our lease. So it's been a very, very stressful situation. And now we finally have just a little bit of relief knowing that we won't be actually put in jail, or myself 60 days and my husband up to 120 days.
Yeah, I can't imagine, what you guys must have been going through. You have the criminal charges pending at 4 different cases, right? 3 on your husband and 1 on you. You've had to get an attorney. You've got the lawsuit against the county. You've got fights with your landlord that are obviously being pushed by the county somehow, and putting pressure on him. And so you got all this stuff happening, and then at some point you must have heard from the governor's office.
To be honest, we didn't hear directly from the governor's office. Our attorney, Corey Strolla, he's out of Palm Beach County. He reached out to the governor's attorney, and they were going back and forth over this because we have content of the judge offering Mike 10 days as a plea deal. We have just a lot of data and footage of how we were treated and arrested. So he wanted to, share that information with the governor's office because, this judge is not abiding by the governor's executive orders at this point. I'm sure you're probably familiar with his executive order that came out, the right to work order, which it rescinded all fines and penalties for COVID related charges. And that was back.
Ignored that.
They totally ignored that. So that was back in September. Fast forward almost a year now, and they were still trying to convict us. So our attorney felt that it was in our best interest to get in touch with his office directly. And that's how, this really came to fruition.
So that was one of the angles your attorney was working on, was trying to get you some help from the governor's office. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes. Okay.
But so then there must have come a day when your attorney called you and said, hey, I think I'm getting somewhere with the governor.
You know what? He didn't really tell us. So last Wednesday, the morning that we went on Laura Ingram's show with Governor DeSantis, he just called us and said, hey, you know what? I just got in touch with Laura Ingram's producer. They want to have you on. Are you available at 10 p.m.?
And was like your mind blown at that point?
We were like, yeah. Because my husband, Mike, he's been going back and forth with Tucker Carlson's producers for about 2 months now, trying to get the story out.
Yeah.
Because we felt that if the story didn't get out into the media, that we would end up going to jail with this judge that we have here in Broward. So we've been working to get it out, get the story out as much as possible. So when the, Corey Strolla contacted us saying, hey, get ready, you're going on tonight. He said, Governor DeSantis might be on there. I'm not really sure what's going on yet, but be ready at 10. Looking back at it now, we know that everybody knew what was going on except for us.
So the whole thing was a surprise.
It was very much a surprise.
They wanted to get your reaction on camera.
And we were completely stunned. We were shocked. There was like barely any reaction because we were just like, we just didn't even know what to think at that point.
Well, what exactly did the governor say that indicated to you at that moment that you knew things were about to change?
So he came out and said that he was going to grant us clemency.
And you knew what that meant?
Yeah, from I didn't really, I'm not. I didn't
specialist or anything.
From based on the context of the conversation, what it was.
Right.
So
And how'd you feel?
I felt like a weight had been lifted right off my shoulders. There was a sense of relief. It was feelings of happiness and joy because, like I said, I was not looking forward to going to Broward County for 60 days and spending time behind bars.
No, I would expect not. I bet you could think of better vacations than that.
Definitely. That's not even my top 10, top 100.
Do you have any idea who at the county was obviously so hell-bent on shutting you guys down and punishing you for not complying?
I have my thoughts, and at the time, our county mayor, that's who I would link that, which is Dale Holness. He's one of the county commissioners at this point.
Okay.
Very vocal about what was happening with us. And he didn't like the fact that we were, standing up for our rights and that we were not just complying with his mandates in the county.
Yeah. Have you or Mike ever been involved in local politics before this?
No.
So this is a whole new chapter in your life that's not like anything you've done before.
Definitely not. We've never been involved in anything even remotely like this.
You haven't marched on protests or down to City Hall or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, I'm sorry that you guys lost your small business, but I hope and I believe that when God closes a window, he opens a barn door. And you guys have certainly got a lot of attention from this. Is there anything that you would have done differently in hindsight?
No, there's no regrets here.
Would you say, is there anything that you've learned?
Oh, the lessons are on, like, I can't even quantify how much I've learned through this whole process. And I wouldn't trade what I've learned for anything.
All right, well, we're going to wrap up, but here on the Frappy Hour, we have the lightning round toward the end. And so I'm going to ask you some short questions and you just give me the first short answer that pops in your head, okay?
Okay.
All right, so what's your favorite coffee?
Jeez, I love all coffee. Argyle coffee.
Okay, well, we were looking for Black Rifle Coffee Company coffee, but thank you for playing. All right, number 2. This one's multiple choice.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
Vax or no vax? A, yes. B, no. Or C, mind your own business.
C.
C, good, correct. All right, and finally, what is your best pro tip for riding comfortably in the back of a police car?
Just stay still. Try not to move too much.
Okay, great. We'll keep that in mind. On behalf of all of our coffee and COVID fans everywhere throughout the United States, I want to thank you and Mike for what you've done. I want to say it's incredibly courageous what you guys have done and insanely self-sacrificial. And I'm telling you this because I want you to know that people recognize that. And there are a lot of people, I think, who want to stand up the way that you guys have, and they're afraid, or they feel like they can't afford it, or there's some structural impediments or politics or their social lives or whatever that they're worried about. And seeing you guys go through this and still be, safe and healthy and happy and well-adjusted and strong is such an encouragement to people. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much for having me on. And I just want to mention to any viewers who, found this as an interesting story and want to learn more, I do have a website. It's mikecarnevale.com. There's so much footage on there, a timeline, and just we go into detail about everything that's happened in the past 10 months. So if you have any questions or you leave here wondering, you can always check out that website. That's
great. Do you guys have a GoFundMe or anything like that set up?
We do, yes.
How do we find?
On that website, there is a link to the GoFundMe as well.
Okay, and Jillian, finally, do you have any advice for other people about standing up to tyranny?
What I would say is that you need to follow your heart and follow your intuition. If it feels right for you to stand up, then you should.
Terrific. Thank you so much for that. Would you please give our best to Mike?
I certainly will.
And we will be praying for you guys to move to the next level and succeed more than you ever dreamed.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me today.
You're welcome. You take care.
You as well.